I love you, but if we have kids, I'd prefer they have my ex's genes. He's just more attractive, she said while planning our wedding. I said, sounds logical. Canceled everything the next day while she was at her final dress fitting. She called confused, asking what was wrong. I said, go have beautiful kids with someone else. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. I, 29M, thought I had won the lottery with Jessica, 27F. She is, objectively, stunning. The kind of woman who stops traffic. I'm a decent-looking guy. I take care of myself. I hit the gym. I dress well. But I'm not a model. I'm 5 feet 9 inches. I have a receding hairline that I keep short, and I wear glasses. I made up for my average genetics by grinding. I built a software consulting firm from the ground up. I have a paid-off house, and I treat people with respect. Jessica loved the lifestyle I provided. She loved the house, the trips, and the security. But looking back, I realized she always viewed our relationship as a merger rather than a romance. She was the brand, and I was the investor. The red flags were there, but they were painted in shades of beige and hidden behind Instagram filters. Jessica is obsessed with aesthetics. Not just looking good, but optimizing everything. Her coffee has to look a certain way. Our living room is uncomfortably white because it looks cleaner on camera. She also had a weird fixation on her ex, Liam. Liam is a personal trainer. He's 6 feet 4 inches, has a jawline that could cut glass, and a full head of thick hair. He's also 30 years old, lives with 3 roommates, and has borrowed money from Jessica in the past, which I paid off to stop the drama. She would bring him up in weird contexts. We'd be watching a movie, and she'd say, see, that actor has the same eye shape as Liam. It's such a strong, dominant trait. I'd usually brush it off. Yeah, he's a good-looking dude, Jess. We get it. It's not just looks, Mark, she'd say, waving a hand dismissively. It's biological currency. People treat you differently when you have that kind of symmetry. I didn't think much of it. We were 4 weeks away from the wedding. I had dropped about $65,000 on deposits alone. The venue, the catering, the band, it was all top tier because that's what she wanted. I loved her, so I signed the checks. Then came the conversation. We were sitting at the kitchen island having dinner. She had her iPad out, looking at future family mood boards on Pinterest. Cute kids in beige linen clothes, that sort of thing. Mark, she said, tapping her stylus against the screen. We need to talk about the timeline for kids again. I've been doing some research. Okay, I said, taking a bite of steak. We said maybe a year after the wedding, right? Right? She said, not looking up. But I've been thinking about the logistics and the variables. She put the iPad down and looked at me with this serious, almost pitying expression. I love you so much, Mark. You know that, right? You're the best partner I could ever ask for. You're smart, you're stable, you're kind. I sense a but coming, I joked. Not a but. A pivot, she corrected. I want our children to have the absolute best start in life. The best opportunities. And we have to be honest about the world we live in. It's shallow. Pretty privilege is real. Height privilege is real. I put my fork down. Okay. And she took a deep breath, like she was about to pitch me a business idea. I think, logically, if we want to give our kids the maximum advantage, we shouldn't use your DNA. The room went dead silent. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator. Excuse me. I laughed nervously. You want to adopt? No, she said, leaning forward, her eyes bright with logic. I want to carry the baby. But I think we should use a donor. Specifically, a donor with elite genetic markers. My stomach dropped. Jessica, what are you talking about? I'm talking about Liam, she said. She said it so casually, like she was suggesting we order Thai food instead of pizza. Liam. I repeated, my voice flat. Your broke ex-boyfriend, Liam? He's not broke, he's creative, she snapped, then softened her tone. Look, Mark, be objective. Remove your ego for a second. Liam is 6 feet 4 inches. He has 20/20 vision. No family history of heart disease or male pattern baldness. His bone structure is perfect. If we combine my genes with his, we are practically guaranteeing a child who is physically superior. An alpha. She reached across the table to touch my hand. I pulled it away. You want me to raise your ex-boyfriend's kid? It would be our kid, she insisted. You'd be the father on the birth certificate. You'd raise him. You'd mold his mind with your intelligence. But he'd have Liam's chassis. It's the best of both worlds. Your brain, his body. Why would we burden a child with, well, you know, average traits, when we have a premium option right there? Average traits, I whispered. Mark, look at yourself, she said, gesturing to my face. You wear glasses. You're under 6 feet. You have asthma. Why pass that on? It's selfish. I've already run it by Liam, and he's totally on board. He thinks it's a cool legacy thing. He wouldn't want to be involved, just a donor. It's literally just a biological transaction. My ears were ringing. She had already run it by Liam. That was the moment the love died. It didn't fade, it was decapitated. She had been talking to her ex-boyfriend, discussing my genetic inferiority, and planning to have his baby while I paid for the hospital bill. She didn't see me as a husband. She saw me as a resource, a beta provider to pay for the alpha's offspring. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the entitlement, the narcissism, the utter lack of respect for my dignity as a man. If I screamed, she would call me insecure. If I cried, she would call me emotional. If I argued, she would try to gaslight me with her logic. So I decided to speak her language. I picked up my wine glass, swirled it, and took a sip. I forced my face into a calm, thoughtful expression. You talked to Liam already? I asked. Just hypothetically, she smiled, sensing a victory. He agrees that for the sake of the child, it's the logical move. I nodded slowly. You know, you make a compelling case, Jess. It's about optimization, asset management. We shouldn't let my ego get in the way of the product. Her face lit up. She actually clapped her hands together. Oh my God, Mark. I knew you'd understand. Most guys would be so toxic and fragile about this. This is why I love you. You're so rational. It sounds logical, I said. Let me sleep on the logistics tonight. We can finalize the plan tomorrow. Perfect, she beamed. I have my final dress fitting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Maybe we can celebrate after. Oh, we will definitely celebrate, I said. I cleared the table. I washed the dishes. I kissed her on the forehead and told her I had some work to finish in the home office. She went to bed happy, dreaming of her genetically perfect designer baby. I went to my office, locked the door, and opened my laptop. I didn't open a spreadsheet. I opened my banking app. It was time to optimize my assets. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the glow of my monitors, fueled by a cold, sharp clarity that felt less like heartbreak and more like a corporate restructuring. Jessica was asleep in our bedroom, probably dreaming of her 6 feet 4 inches baby. Meanwhile, I was systematically dismantling her life. First, the joint account. We had a wedding fund that we both contributed to, but let's be real, I put in 90% of the cash. She contributed vibes and aesthetic direction. I transferred every cent of my contribution back to my primary business account. I left exactly $400 in there, her share. Next, the credit cards. She was an authorized user on my Platinum Amex and my Chase Sapphire. I didn't just freeze them, I removed her completely. Then came the vendors. This was the painful part, physically and financially. I knew I wouldn't get most of the deposits back. The venue, the florist, the photographer, that money was gone. But I'd rather lose $65,000 burning it in a barrel than spend another dime on a woman who thought I was genetically unworthy of my own children. I drafted a single copy-paste email to all 12 vendors. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding scheduled for next month is canceled effective immediately. Please cancel all pending orders. I understand deposits are non-refundable. Do not contact the bride. Direct all communication to me. I hit send. It was 3 a.m. The last step was the house. I bought it 2 years before we met. Her name wasn't on the deed, but she had established residency. I couldn't legally throw her out on the street overnight without a process, but I could make it incredibly inconvenient. I logged into the smart home app and deleted her fingerprint from the front door lock. I changed the garage code. I packed 2 suitcases of my own clothes. I wasn't going to be there when she got back. I booked a suite at a hotel downtown for the week. By 6 a.m., I was showered and dressed. I put on my best suit. When Jessica woke up at 8 a.m., I was in the kitchen making coffee. I looked normal. I acted normal. This was the hardest performance of my life. Morning, babe, she yawned, stretching. She looked beautiful. It made me sick. Did you sleep okay? You came to bed late. Yeah, just had to move some assets around, I said, handing her a mug. Thinking about the future. She smiled, sipping the coffee. I'm so glad you're on board with the donor thing, Mark. Honestly, it shows how secure you are. Liam texted me back, by the way. He's excited to help. She actually showed me the text. Liam, LOL sounds wild. But yeah, if Mark is cool with it, I'm down to donate the swimmers. Let's make a super baby. I stared at the screen. He seems eager. He just wants to help, she chirped. Anyway, I have to run. Final fitting. My mom and the girls are meeting me there. This is the big one. I take the dress home today. Right, I said. The final balance is due today, isn't it? Yeah, about $4,000. I'll just put it on the Amex. Sounds logical, I said. I kissed her on the forehead. Have a great time, Jess. You deserve it. She beamed, grabbed her keys, and left. I waited until her car turned the corner. Then I grabbed my suitcases, walked out the door, and locked it behind me. 10:45 a.m. I was sitting in my hotel room, staring at my phone. I knew the timing perfectly. The appointment started at 10. She would try on the dress. The seamstress would make final adjustments. Everyone would cry and drink champagne. And then, the transaction. 10:52 a.m. Notification, American Express. Card declined. Transaction attempt. $4,200 at Bella Spasa Bridal. 10:53 a.m. Notification, American Express. Card declined. Transaction attempt. $4,200 at Bella Spasa Bridal. 10:55 a.m. My phone rang. Caller ID. Jessica Redhart. I let it ring 3 times. I took a deep breath. I answered calmly. Hey, honey. How's the dress? Mark. Her voice was high-pitched, tight with panic. In the background, I could hear the low murmur of a shop, probably her bridesmaids whispering. There's an issue with the Amex. It's not going through. They tried it twice. It's embarrassing. My mom is standing right here. Oh, I said. That's strange. What did the machine say? It said not authorized or something. Did you forget to pay the bill? Can you call them? Or just transfer the money to the debit card? I need to take the dress now. We have the luncheon. I didn't forget to pay the bill, Jessica. Then what is it? Fraud protection? Just unlock it. I canceled the card, I said. My voice was even, devoid of emotion. I removed you as a user this morning. There was a pause. A heavy, confused silence. What? Why would you do that today? Of all days. I also canceled the venue. I continued, staring out the window at the city skyline. And the caterer. And the band. The wedding is off, Jess. Is this a joke? Her voice cracked. She sounded small. Mark, everyone is staring at me. Stop messing around. I'm being logical, I said, throwing her word back at her. I stayed up all night thinking about your proposal. About the genetics. Mark, we can talk about that later. Just pay for the dress. No, we need to talk about it now. You see, you were right. I crunched the numbers. If I'm not genetically good enough to be the father of your children, then logically, I'm not good enough to be the husband who pays for your life. It would be a poor investment on my part to fund a family line that excludes me. I didn't say you weren't good enough, she screamed. The background noise in the shop stopped. She was making a scene. I said I wanted to optimize. I love you. You love my wallet, I corrected. You love the house, and the trips, and the stability. But you lust after Liam. You respect Liam's biology more than mine. You even texted him before you talked to me. That's not optimization, Jessica. That's infidelity with extra steps. I was trying to help us, she was sobbing now. I was trying to give us a better baby. And I'm trying to give myself a better life, I said. I can't risk having a son who inherits his mother's narcissism. Or her stupidity. That's a genetic marker I can't afford. Mark, please, she begged. I'm in the dress. I'm literally wearing the dress right now. My mom is crying. Don't do this. Take the dress off, Jessica. You can't afford it. Maybe Liam can pay for it. He's got those alpha genes. Surely he has $4,000 lying around. Mark, go have beautiful kids with someone else, I said. The house is locked. I'll send you a time next week when you can come get your things. Do not contact me again. I hung up. Then I blocked her number. I sat there for a moment, listening to the silence of the hotel room. I expected to feel devastated. I expected to feel the crushing weight of a canceled future. Instead, I felt lighter than air. I didn't just block her. I went scorched earth. I blocked her mom, her sisters, and her bridesmaids. I knew the flying monkeys were coming, and I had no interest in the circus. I spent the next 3 days working from the hotel. It was incredibly productive. It's amazing how much work you can get done when you aren't spending 3 hours a night debating color palettes for napkins. On the fourth day, I got an email from a mutual friend, Dave. Dave was one of the few solid guys on her side of the aisle. Subject, dude. Mark, I'm not getting involved, but you need to know what she's posting. She's spinning this hard. She's telling everyone you were abusive and that you abandoned her at the altar because you were insecure about her past. She didn't mention the donor thing. She's making you look like a monster. People are taking sides. I sighed. Of course she was. Narcissists never own the narrative. They rewrite it. I had a choice. I could stay silent and take the high road, letting my reputation take a hit. Or I could drop the nuke. I opened the folder on my phone where I kept receipts. I had the screenshot of the text she sent me about the genetic optimization. I had the audio recording of our dinner conversation from the Ring camera in the kitchen. I had checked the logs. The camera caught the whole audio clearly. I decided to be the professional. I wouldn't post a rant. I wouldn't call her names. I logged onto Facebook, where the war was raging. Her aunt had posted a status calling me a cowardly little man. I made one post. There seems to be some confusion regarding the cancellation of the wedding. I believe in transparency. Jessica proposed that we use her ex-boyfriend, Liam, as a sperm donor for our future children because my genetics were average and she wanted to optimize for height and looks. She had already discussed this with him behind my back. I declined to fund a life where I am a spectator in my own family. I wish her and Liam the best. I attached the audio clip. Then I turned my phone off and went to the gym. When I turned it back on 2 hours later, my phone was so hot from notifications I thought it might explode. The internet does not take kindly to people who try to eugenics optimize their spouses out of the gene pool. But the real satisfaction didn't come from the likes. It came 2 weeks later, when I finally went back to the house to meet her for the move out. She wasn't alone, and neither was I. Saturday came. It was a crisp, clear day. I arrived at the house at 11:30 a.m. I wasn't alone. I brought a security guard named Marcus. I hired him through a private firm. It cost me $300 for the afternoon, and it was worth every penny. I didn't want a shouting match. I didn't want false accusations. I wanted a witness, and I wanted a physical barrier. I also brought a contractor to change the locks immediately after she left. At 11:58 a.m., a U-Haul pulled up. Jessica got out of the passenger side. She looked diminished. The aesthetic was gone. Her hair was in a messy bun. She wore sweatpants, and she looked like she hadn't slept in a week. She wasn't alone, either. She brought her dad. I liked her dad. He was a quiet, blue-collar guy who always seemed a bit uncomfortable with how high-maintenance Jessica was. He looked at me, then looked at the ground. He knew. He was ashamed. They walked up the driveway. Marcus, my security guard, stepped forward, holding a clipboard. Name? Marcus asked, completely deadpan. It's my house, Jessica snapped, though her voice lacked its usual bite. It's Mr. Henderson's house, Marcus corrected. You're here for item retrieval. Garage only. Sign here. She signed, her hand shaking. I stood by the garage door, leaning against the wall, checking emails on my phone. I gave her the professional archetype. Polite, detached, unbothered. She walked past me into the garage where I had already stacked her boxes. I had been generous. I packed everything that was remotely hers. Clothes, makeup, the espresso machine she demanded we buy. Mark, she said. She stopped in front of me. Her dad was already loading boxes into the truck, keeping his head down. I looked up from my phone. Jessica, can we just talk for 5 minutes? Without the bodyguard. Marcus stays, I said. And we have nothing to talk about. The email was clear. Tears started welling up in her eyes. I lost everything, Mark. My friends won't talk to me. Liam blocked me. I'm living in my parents' guest room. That sounds difficult, I said. I miss you, she whispered. I miss us. I miss this house. I was just scared, okay? I got cold feet and I said something stupid about the genes because I was panicked about the future. I didn't mean it. You're the one I want. You're my soulmate. She reached out to touch my arm. I took a step back. You weren't scared, Jess, I said, my voice calm. You were arrogant. You thought you could curate a life where I paid the bills and Liam provided the biology. You wanted the aesthetic of a family without the reality of the husband. I was wrong, she cried. I don't care about looks. I don't care about height. I just want you. You're the smartest man I know. Please, Mark, give me a chance to fix it. I looked at her. I really looked at her. The woman who sat at my kitchen table 2 weeks ago and coolly discussed my genetic inferiority was gone. In her place was someone desperate, realizing she had traded a diamond for a rock that turned out to be fake. You know, I said, I've been thinking about your logic. About optimization. She looked up, hopeful. Yeah, you were right, I said. Her face brightened. I was. Absolutely. Genetics are important. Heritage is important. And character is hereditary. I checked my watch. I did a risk assessment, Jess. If we got back together, there is a statistically significant chance our children would inherit your entitlement, your lack of loyalty, your inability to understand consequences. Her face fell. I can't risk polluting my bloodline with that, I said, delivering the line I had prepared. I need to optimize for integrity. And unfortunately, you don't meet the criteria. Mark, that's cruel, she choked out. It's not cruel, I said, turning back to my phone. It's just biological currency. You understand. Let's go, Jess, her dad said from the driveway. His voice was heavy. He wouldn't look me in the eye, but he gave me a curt nod as he grabbed the last box. He knew I was right. She stood there for another 10 seconds, waiting for me to crack, waiting for the nice guy she thought she was marrying to surface and save her. But that guy died at the kitchen table. Time is up, Marcus said, checking his watch. Please vacate the property. She let out a sob, turned around, and walked to the U-Haul. I watched them drive away. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt the specific, clean relief of dodging a bullet that was aimed right between my eyes. The locksmith pulled up 5 minutes later. Epilogue 6 months later, I ran into a mutual friend at a bar. He told me Jessica was dating a guy from her gym. Is it Liam? I asked, sipping my bourbon. No, the friend laughed. Liam wants nothing to do with her. It's some guy named Todd. He's, well what? He's 6 feet 5 inches, the friend said. Huge guy? Aspiring model. Good for her, I said. She got her type. Yeah, but he's broke as a joke, the friend grinned. He doesn't have a car. She has to drive him everywhere. And she's working double shifts at a receptionist job to pay for their apartment. I smiled. She got exactly what she wanted. She got the jeans. She got the height. She got the aesthetic. And she's paying for it, literally and metaphorically, every single day. As for me, I started dating a pediatrician named Sarah. She's smart, funny, and beautiful. Last night, we were cooking dinner, and she looked at me. You know, she said, you have really nice eyes. I hope our kids get them. I have bad vision, I reminded her. They'll need glasses. She shrugged and kissed me. Smart guys wear glasses. I think that's an upgrade. Sounds logical, I said. And for the first time in a long time, it actually was. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.